We just want consistency.
Right.
So what we do is we, have the same model for every school. And then we have captains. And with our small but mighty board, we only have 4 board members. We put it on. We have a network of over 200 volunteers. So volunteers are really at the core of everything that we do. We cannot be in all these schools and do what we do without the volunteers.
All right, guys, we are back with episode number 105. Today we've got Sepi Ackerman of Holiday House SRQ. She is the founder of Holiday House SRQ. As always, my name is Brad Hannon.
Trey Martell.
Felipe Colon.
And we're excited to dive into this because it's not yet July, but we're kind of planning to release this episode in July. So it'll be a little Christmas in July theme.
Definitely.
I assume that's kind of Holiday House's main holiday is Christmas. I mean, it's mine. So talk to me a little bit about what Holiday House does and why starting it. Like where'd the vision come from? Because you are a founder. So
Yes. So Holiday House SRQ is a newer nonprofit in Sarasota. We've been in operation for a year, but we've been running for 5 years. We're entering our 5th year. A holiday house per se is not a new concept. I actually learned about it in my own daughter's school. We do a holiday experience in my daughter's elementary school, and where the kids go in and they pick gifts and they wrap them and they bring them home. And they're really excited to show the parents. But at our school, the PTO pays for it. So funding is not an issue. It's never been a thought. So one year I was running the holiday house at my daughter's school, and I was looking at all the beautiful things at the end of the whole experience. And I was thought to myself, what about the neighboring school, that doesn't have a PTO? And so I looked at my partner, Jenny Infanti, who was co-chairing the event with me, and I said, do you want to pack all of this up and take it over to the school over in Newtown, Emma E. Booker? And she said, yeah, that'd be a great idea. So we reached out to their principal. They loved the idea. We wrote the elementary school, my daughter, a check. We bought everything, packed it all up in a U-Haul, took it over to Newtown, did like a pop-up. It was really only supposed to be a one-time act of kindness. But what we didn't expect is honestly the reactions of the students. They were so overjoyed. A lot of them were crying. The administration was so blown away. They were so grateful and thankful. And then we realized that we tapped into something and we couldn't turn back. It just grew from there.
it's organic.
It was really organic.
One thing you said was interesting. I don't think everybody realizes that not every school has a PTO.
Yeah, I caught that.
That's wild, right?
So not every school has a PTO,
Yeah.
and it's something that I've learned throughout doing this entire process is that actually not everybody knows what a Title I school is, and Sarasota is a tale of two cities.
Why don't you break that down for us?
Yeah, so Title I school means that 70% or more of the students are at or below the poverty line. They are eligible for free and reduced lunches, and therefore their families just, make a certain amount of income. So when that happens, the school doesn't have all the resources that it needs. Of course, it gets some funding from the state for certain amount of things, but
Right.
holiday experiences and other luxuries are just, it's not happening at those schools. And
what are some of the Title I schools around here?
So right now we serve in 4. We're at Emma E. Booker, we are at Wilkinson, we are at Brentwood, and we're also at Alta Vista. There's over 50%, like 13 out of the 23 schools in Sarasota County are Title I.
Wow.
Yeah.
Literally tale of two cities then.
That's very surprising considering that Sarasota, I don't know if this statistic is up to date, but one of the only A-rated counties in the state of Florida for the school system.
We're A-rated, and my daughter's school is an amazing school. We're so fortunate, and honestly, I've been here for 10 years, and just 4 years ago we uncovered this. So it was wild. It's something your mind can't wrap around because that 2 miles down the street there's such limited resources, and so I think Tale of Two Cities really describes it perfectly.
Oh, you're 100% right. This is one of the most affluent areas of the state of Florida, which is at this point the third largest state and the richest country in the world. So why are half of our schools Title I? That's not to, trash title. There's good teachers at these schools. There's good students at these schools.
Amazing teachers, amazing administration. They give with so much heart. They just don't have the same resources, and it's only because their families don't have those resources. So
Right. And then parental involvement is the offshoot of not having those resources.
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say with the PTO, I mean, that's PTO doesn't exist because lack of volunteers, lack of money, or both. I mean, it's got to be, some combination potentially. But why would a school not have a PTO?
both. These parents are working full time. They don't have, a parent that's a stay-at-home parent. They can't, leave their jobs. It's less flexible. So they don't have the time in the day as well as the finances.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
When you go about this, obviously we've evolved. I'm sure Holiday House has evolved from, buying up the remaining gifts from the school, and now you've taken it to a whole nother level. So let's kind of fast forward. We'll get into some of the challenges and where the community may be able to help fill some gaps. But before we go there, kind of walk us through what that experience looks like today after evolving it over time.
So I'm smiling because we really have come a long way, like from that first year where we did a quick reach to friends to Venmo us to help us fundraise, to now we're grant writing. We're, entering our 5th school this year. It's really gotten to such a proud and professional moment. So now, being that we are in 5 schools, and our goal is to really expand to every Title I school in Sarasota County. So even the South County and North County schools.
Halfway there almost, right?
We're halfway there,
little less
almost.
So just to clarify, you were doing this, you said you've been operating for 5 years, but you've been a nonprofit for 1. So you were
Correct.
kind of just doing this on your own with your friends for 4 years.
So my co-founder Jenny and I did this literally in the first school we did in 24 hours. We bought the remaining inventory, we went in, and we just figured it out. Now that we're in 5 schools, we're kind of, quote unquote, franchising it. So not to say that we're interested in anything other than we just want consistency.
Right.
So what we do is we, have the same model for every school. And then we have captains, and with our small but mighty board, we only have 4 board members. We put it on. We have a network of over 200 volunteers. So volunteers are really at the core of everything that we do. We cannot be in all these schools and do what we do without the volunteers. Every single dollar that's raised goes back into the school. Like, we don't take a salary. We don't partake in any excess. Every dollar is spent really wisely. And that's because we really want to improve our community. But yes, so we're shopping 365 days a year. We're, 20,000 items per purchase order so that we can divide it up into 5 schools. We want them to all have the same items.
Can you give an example of some items?
Sure. So mugs are
Super
really...
Dad coffee mugs.
Yeah, mugs.
That's what I got.
Mugs are a really popular item for, they can go to either gender, mom or dad or aunt. They love toys. So, basketballs, footballs. They love stuffed animals. We have stuff for pets. So they have dog bowls or, kitten toys. We have things for babies. We really made sure that every gift that was in there is very well thought out and intentional. There's nothing that is in there that we didn't think about.
Now, what's the dynamic? Because I don't have any kids. The child goes and he shops for the parents, and can they get multiple gifts or one gift?
Great
5
question.
gifts? Yeah.
So about a week before the holiday shop, we send them home with a list and a letter that says, we're coming to your school. This is what Holiday House is. Your child will be able to choose 5 gifts for loved ones. Please help them identify who those loved ones are. So they have a list. And then also, they also get to shop for themselves because you can't, these are little children, so they want something for themselves. So 6 gifts total. And they come in and they get a 1-to-1 shopping experience. So 1 volunteer per kid, and they get to go in 5 at a time. We don't take a whole class of 20 in. We want them to really relish in this experience. It's piped and draped, this portion of their school, in either red and white curtains or green curtains or blue curtains, whatever. And there's decorations, there's holiday music playing, they get welcomed, and a lot of our volunteers dress in theme. So sometimes they're dressed as elves, sometimes they're dressed as reindeer. So they sit and wait in the main area. They have a snack, they color, and they're just pondering what they want. It builds excitement. And then 5 kids go in with their 5 volunteers, and they pour over these items, and they're just so excited, and they're screaming, and the look on their face is amazing. And so they're picking out the gifts for their loved ones. A lot of times the teachers are at the top of the list because these teachers are pouring so much of their love into these students.
That's cool.
So that's really special when you see that. Some of these kids are homeless and they live at the Salvation Army, or, and they don't necessarily have 5 people that they're picking for. So they just pick one gift, and you're like, but you still get 5, just pick 5, give them out to whoever. And they're like, no, that's okay. This is all I need.
Wow.
So you just hear and see all kinds of different stories. But yeah, we want them to take their time and remember the experience, to the point where some of our repeat schools, when they see us pulling up with the U-Haul, they start saying, is this the holiday house? Like, are you setting up for the holiday house? So it's really special.
Now, you're at 5 schools, is that correct?
We'll be entering our 5th school.
5th school. Okay. Now, do you stagger the days for the events, or do you all the same day?
Everything's all in the same week. So it
I was
is
going to be like,
showtime.
that's a dumb question. Of course they stagger the days. Every single one.
No, there's just not enough time with all this, everything happening in December.
Yeah, the holidays, and everything's tight. So
everything's tight. So we're really organized. We have sign-up geniuses that go out in November. And like I said, volunteers are at the core of everything we do. So the more volunteers we have, the more seamless it is. But we have a lot of people who are passionate about it. They're repeat volunteers. We have church groups, temple groups. Everybody comes in, and so
this year you're going to have a bunch of Medicare agents.
I love it. I can't wait.
We're going to get the sign-ups going.
Can I stop
sure.
to give you a compliment on the number of volunteers? Because, there's no dearth of children's-oriented charities in this area. I mean, you got First Tee, you got reading groups, there's a million things. So those volunteers are hard to come by. Like, what's been your strategy to accumulate those volunteers?
No, it's really hard to come by. And being that it's Christmas, it's almost even harder to rope in volunteers, especially because we're doing this during working hours. So I hope your Medicare folks out there get a couple hours.
We'll give them some time off.
But we have 2-hour shifts, and word of mouth is honestly the best way to get volunteers. But I think what the key is they're seeing firsthand expressions and joys. Like, sometimes you go shopping for Toys for Tots, you wrap it and you leave it.
Yeah.
But you're seeing not only what your dollar amount donated to directly, but you're also feeling that magic. And like, our volunteers oftentimes say they got more than they gave. So, giving is really receiving when it comes to our organization.
In the 4 or 5 years you've been doing this, what is the most memorable story that you've taken away, you personally, or you've heard? All right, we're having a great time here getting to know Holiday House and all of the amazing things they're doing. If you want to get to know Sepi Ackerman just a little bit deeper, stay tuned for rapid fire questions fueled by food and beer.
Hi, I'm Sepi Ackerman, founder and president of Holiday House SRQ, and this is Rapid Fire.
10 random questions. 10 specific answers. Nothing off limits. This is Rapid Fire, fueled by food and beer. What's your favorite professional sports team?
Inter Miami.
Dog person, cat person, dog person. Cats suck. Which one do you like?
Dog.
What was your favorite class in high school?
Home ec.
Schools used to have a room that would have a lot of mini kitchens, and students would sort of sit around tables and they would learn how to cook.
Have you ever met your doppelganger before?
No.
A private jet's waiting for you on the tarmac to take you anywhere you want to go. So where are you going?
Paris.
What's the best toppings to put on your pizza?
Cheese.
Whether it's Creed or Debbie Gibson, what's your favorite karaoke song?
I don't even know. Probably a Mariah Carey song. Always Be My Baby.
Ooh, darling, 'cause you'll always be my baby.
Do you have any deal breakers?
I mean, is it weird that the first thing came into my mouth is a loud chewer?
If the machine existed, would you time travel or teleport to anywhere in the world?
Teleport to anywhere in the world.
So you can teleport. Congratulations. Welcome to the club. You are a superhero.
After, of course, eating food and beer, where's the first place you would take visitors in Sarasota besides the beach?
Selby Gardens. One of the most memorable stories was this little boy that came in, and we have decorations. We have some tinsel trees on the tables, and at the end of his shopping experience, he said, "Can I take this?" And we said, "Of course." And he proceeds to tell us that he doesn't have a Christmas tree at home, and his mom just died, and he doesn't have really any family, and so he said, "I want to take this tinsel tree and put it on my mom's grave." And so. I mean, talk about cue the tears.
Wow.
So, but there's so many stories I could tell you, literally.
Yeah, I bet. I mean,
20,
at every
30 of them
location,
right
every
offhand.
time.
Yeah.
What is the date for it?
So we don't have our set dates yet,
Okay.
but it's always either the first or second week in December. It's
Let's
really
do the
based
second week in
on-
December, and then I'll give all the
Testing.
volunteers. Second week in December, you can have all the volunteers you want.
I hope we can go for second week. The principals choose the dates based on their
Okay.
testing.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, I'll talk to some principals that I know. We'll see. Well, the question I had thought of before this, because I'm a big Christmas person. I just love the Christmas season. I'm a Grinch. Half the year, 3/4 of the year, but leading up to Christmas, I get in the holiday spirit, and I hadn't always been like that. But I think my wife really, she got through to me about Christmas, and now I have kids as well, so it just makes it more enjoyable. But major Christmas person, so like something, doing something around the Christmas season would be very exciting for me. I got to ask you, are you a major Christmas person? Is that what kind of started this? Are you and your other founder like just major Christmas people, or more just givers?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
So I'm actually Jewish, so I celebrate Hanukkah.
Okay.
And my co-founder is, Christian, and she celebrates Christmas. But we just love the holidays.
Yeah.
And so paired with holidays and with giving, it was a no-brainer when we realized the impact that we were making.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really cool thing, and audacious goal of being in every Title I school, all from something that, just kind of happened organically like we talked about. And I can imagine there's been some challenges along the way too.
Oh,
We talk about all the good things, but, it would be, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about what the challenges are. Is it difficult getting into these schools? Was it difficult getting the accreditation to write grants and all of this stuff? I'm sure it
All
was.
the red tape for
But
nonprofit.
Yeah, exactly.
Have any
Talk
of the
to
schools
us-
just said, no, we're not interested?
Yeah, talk to us about the challenges.
No, in fact, the biggest thing is we can't keep up with the demand. Like, we're getting requests from every school, even from Manatee County. We've even gotten requests from out of state, believe it or not.
Whoa.
But our mission and our organization right now is to serve Title I elementary schools in Sarasota County. So we want to have a sustainable growth, both financially and for volunteers. I think, speaking only for myself, the things that keep me up at night are, how can we grow responsibly where I don't ever want to go into a school that we can't repeat going back into. So just to make sure that we're covered financially and with volunteers, it's definitely something that keeps me up at night.
Well, and that's got to be a challenge in and of itself,
Yeah.
raising the money. So let's talk for a minute about how you guys are able to raise the money. What are some of the most impactful things you do? And who knows, maybe we might even have some ideas for you on how to raise more money. I don't know.
I'd love that. So like I said, every dollar raised goes right back into the school systems. So that helps. I mean, we don't have any overhead that we have to pay for or salaries. We just, we're fortunate in that sense where everybody who's on our board is a volunteer. But it's really a blend of not only families that are donating out of their own pocket and their own goodness of their own heart, but also organizations in town that have really been big believers and supporters of us. And that's meant everything in our first operational year as a nonprofit for Community Foundation of Sarasota to take a leap of faith and write us a grant. I mean, that was big. For them to find their own private donors to write us grants, that was big. Junior League just funded an entire school at Brentwood.
wow.
So, yeah, word is spreading, and we have a lot of, momentum building. And so just going off of that, a lot of the different organizations this is actually breaking news, but on Thursday I'm going.
We love breaking news on the podcast. Let's
breaking
go.
news. We just got a donor give us a grant for July. So Christmas in July, she's giving us a big grant. So every dollar raised is a dollar matched. So if anybody's inspired and they want to go onto our website and make a, tax deductible donation, then that will be matched dollar for dollar.
Perfect. And let's drop that website real quick. We're going to link it in the comments, of course. But
Sure.
where do they find you?
www.holidayhousesrq.org.
Piece of cake.
Yeah.
Holidayhouse.org.
Yeah.
Awesome. Holiday House SRQ. Staying on the money topic.
Yeah.
How much, it might vary based on the size of school and whatnot. I'm sure you guys have a formula for that, but roughly what does it cost to fund, let's just say, one school?
Anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 for one school. And that's not just the Holiday House. While we were in there doing the holiday gift shop, we were building those relationships with the administration. And we just started pressing and seeing what are some of the deeper needs that you guys have that aren't being met necessarily just from, whatever that you're dealing with.
Right.
And so one of the things that came up was shoes. A lot of the students didn't have shoes that properly fit the students. They were like secondhand or just hand-me-downs or from Goodwill, or not proper fitting sneakers with closed toes and closed backs so that they could go out for recess. So we decided that we're going to start a shoe drive. And so now we've actually done that 2 years in a row, where every single student got sized and fitted for custom sneakers.
Whoa.
Brand new. A lot of them were Nikes.
Every student that came through the Holiday House at
Yeah.
every school?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it started with Alta Vista the first year. So that was what their principal requested from us. So we did every single student at Alta Vista.
Holy smokes.
Last year, we did it at every school that asked for it. So Alta Vista asked for it for every single one of their students. But somewhere like Emma E. Booker decided to do it on family night. So whoever showed up on family night, they got those sneakers. And then, it was a hand mix at our other two schools. It was like 50% of the students.
Are all those schools uniform schools?
Not all of them. 3 out
Brentwood's
of the 4.
not, right?
Yeah,
They weren't when I went there. And I didn't know they were they probably weren't even a Title I school when I went there. But
Oh, did you go to
great.
Brentwood?
I went to Brentwood
Oh,
long time ago,
wow.
but yes, I did.
You'll have to look it up.
That's wild.
I mean, these kids, they don't know.
Right.
They don't know if it's Title I or not.
Yeah.
So maybe it was and you had no idea. I mean, if you ask
yeah.
a 5th grader or a 3rd grader.
They have no concept of money, a
No,
lot of them.
they
It's so
haven't.
funny.
Right.
But honestly, we had at our last shoe drive, there were some new stations there just because we need to get PR out about Holiday House since we're so new. But they had a new station there, and with the permission of the administration and parent permission, they interviewed a student, and it's really sweet. If you get a chance, Google it. But he talks about how just the difficulties that a family has to decide on what they're spending their money on. Like, is it food this week, or is it rent, or is it new sneakers? And, new sneakers just isn't high up on the ranking, So just to have these kids all sized and fitted for themselves, and they come in the next day, they're all wearing they're all wearing their new sneakers, and
Yeah, I
the
bet.
administration sends us pictures, and it's just amazing. It's an amazing feeling.
The 10 to 12,000 covers the Holiday House and the sneakers? though?
Yes. So that's how I digressed.
You're
is-
stretching a
we
dollar
really
quite a ways.
we are maximizing every dollar. When I'm telling you, every single dollar that's donated really goes back into we're buying our sneakers in bulk at 50% off. Like, we are not walking into Dick's Sporting Goods and just
Yeah, no
buying
kidding.
$50
I'm not walking
we're
into Dick's
so
Sporting
efficient
Goods.
with our money, and we really stretch it because we just want to maximize our impact.
Are you guys hiring anybody, or is it like somebody's husband, wife, or boyfriend is moving the shoes? Like, how do you do this?
Yeah. So for many years it was.
Yeah.
Just this year we decided to splurge and hire movers who we are very strategic again about who we partner with, and they give us like at cost expenses. So we have a good team of people that we work with in Sarasota. I know who to trust.
Who's the movers? You can shout them out. They helped you out, right? If you want to.
I really can't because
Fair.
Yeah, just for purposes. But I can tell you that we've been partnering with Amy Esper and Methodical Organization. So they've been helping us because sometimes when we're in a bind, her team comes in and they help us set up at some of the schools, and they help us break down. We just had our first luncheon. It was sold out, and she helped us. Her team helped us with that. So she does a lot of in-kind donations with her time and her team. So shout out to Amy Esper.
What does her main business do?
It's an organization business.
So give me an example of what they would organize.
So if you're moving, or if you're just overwhelmed because your closet's a
like
mess,
my closet
or like your
I need to
kids,
get this.
I
I need
got
to get
yours
this
for
woman's
her.
number.
you need to organize your closet. Like if
She's
your
like a
kids,
Marie Kondo,
if your
huh?
kid's playroom is a disaster and your wife doesn't want to look at it anymore, she'll come in and they'll organize everything into categories. Anything, your kitchen, if you need your pantry or spice drawer reorganized.
We might need to get her number.
It's actually a service that once you get started, it's such a luxury. I love this.
But now that you've been on the podcast, one of the things we pride ourselves on here is connecting people who've been guests, and we've had some guests who I think would be interested in helping you out with some in-kind donations. I don't want to speak for them, but I know that there's people that'd be interested in what you do who've been on here.
Yeah, and we somehow we got off the topic, but what are the most, if you answered it, I was in another world, I guess, but what are the most impactful donation drives that you guys do? How are you guys raising money, and what's the best ways that you're seeing?
So honestly, we get asked this question all the time: is can I donate toys? The short answer is no, because like I said, we want the same experience for every kid. So as far as toys go, no, please just donate money. It's tax deductible. But there are some people who at the end of the day really just want to go out and buy something for themselves to donate. They like that tangible donation. So in that case, we say sneakers. The Sarasota Yacht Club just had their little young squadrons trying to raise money and do some leadership. So they did a shoe drive. So I actually have to go pick up those sneakers. So any kind of sneakers. I mean, honestly, our sizes are from 1 to 12. So it's like you really can't go wrong.
A fifth grader in size 12.
I mean, you will see fifth graders in size 12 shoes.
They're gonna contract for basketball or something
power
for
forward.
sure.
Yeah. Or uniforms, like uniform bottoms, underwear, those are fleece jackets. We had some of the coldest days earlier this year, and some of the administration called us and asked us for some fleece jackets. So we did a Costco run and bought like 250 fleece jackets, distributed them out.
So sticking with just the money, right? Because that is like something that is unique about what you guys are doing, and that's kind of the main need, I would say, is cash donations. What are you doing to drive cash donations? I mean, the luncheons, is that like where is the money coming from, and how can people get involved? Is what I'm getting at.
Up until the point that we were not an official nonprofit, it was coming from friends and family, neighbors. I mean, just word of mouth, just telling they see the need and they've been there, they volunteered. So we have some really generous people in Sarasota, and they were willing to, write the check. Now that we're a nonprofit, we're sitting there in our free time, Jenny and I and our board members, and we're just writing grant after grant. I mean, I don't know. We're throwing spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks.
So it's all the big foundations around here.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned, you had some success with Community Foundation, and then you got a nice grant from them, and then
Junior League.
How they work is then once you're in their ecosystem, all their individual donors, can pick and choose from their donor advised funds if they want to get involved in what you do.
If they want to tell their donors about us.
Right.
Actually, our luncheon, we just decided to launch the luncheon because we do need to raise money, and especially if we're going to be expanding. So at our luncheon, we had a guest who was so inspired. He went back to his wealth management team, told them about us, and they had a client that wrote us a $5,000 check. Just from hearing about it, because the story hits close to home, I guess. And so we're just super grateful. And I don't know, it somehow is built. And I think people are really passionate about it. And when they realize that 100% of your donation goes right into the school systems in your community.
Yeah.
I think that's really impactful.
That is, it is very impactful. And it's also, I don't know, the size and scale of what you're doing with the size of the team and the no salaries and it's like that's an organization that I feel like people would want to partner with. So as you're sitting here saying that, I'm thinking this is a great opportunity for, a company like mine to get involved with, donations, volunteer time. We should definitely do the second week in December if we can push for that.
Yeah.
We'll talk to
I'd love that.
That would be great. But even if we didn't, we could still, free up some agents to help out. And I know that people would want to get involved, but doing anything like to know that with raising $10,000 or $12,000, you could literally impact an entire school, right? Not just like
400, 500
kids,
students,
but like the entire school is wild, right? So exciting stuff.
And their families, really, because their families are feeling the benefit of this too.
You mentioned that one of the things that keeps you up at night, or maybe the thing is how to do this responsibly and making sure that you don't go into a school that you can't sustain. Mm-hmm. So what's let's say that you guys, in July, right? Mm-hmm. You guys raise an excess of $36,000, mm-hmm. which means 3 new schools. Do you say, all right, we're going to go for it because we have the money for the 3 new schools, or okay, we have the money for the 3 new schools, but how are we going to get it next year, and can we sustain it? Like, what's the process in which you're running that through?
Well, I mean, if I could raise $30,000 in July, I'd be doing backflips. So,
hey, anything's possible.
I don't know if that's, it's
this
never.
Podcast has a lot of reach with a lot of great people. You never know.
Oh my gosh, that would actually be a dream come true. But, I don't want to get ahead of myself. Our growth has been 1 school per year, only because that's what we've been able to save. Mm-hmm. We can't drain the bank and start from 0 every year, which is weird for me to say because this is our first year actually. Right. So up until now, our motto has been drain the bank because it's really weird getting Venmos and you're like, I don't want to be responsible for any weird situations and that's kind of how these deeper projects.
You want to show where the money went every single year.
Exactly. Right. I'm not holding on to any money. Jenny's not holding on to any money. So we were like, okay, well, we have $500 extra, so let's buy the entire staff Chick-fil-A. So that's what we did. And then another 1,000 would come in. We'd be like, okay, well, let's buy however many students we can new sneakers. So then we would just spend in a responsible way, but we couldn't have any money. Yeah. Now it's a new mentality is, okay, well, we need to still have money to go into all the other schools. Yeah. And we can't start from 0 every single year.
Right. So you're able to get strategic with it and do some longer range planning. And
I think the goal, responsibly really and realistically, is 1 school per year. I mean, if we were to raise $35,000 in July, maybe I could add a 2nd school. Okay. But
I think a great appeal to donors would be the sooner you raise that money, the sooner you can add the school. Because really, the thing that I thought about first when I heard this is I don't think people realize how many special events and things that go on at the nicest schools, and how much parental involvement for sure makes that experience. And shame on us if we're not trying to do everything we can to give every child in Sarasota County that same level of experience.
Exactly.
I mean, it's not like when we went to school. I'm pointing at Trey because he's closest in age. Where it was just like, okay.
You're far older than I am.
Well, I don't know about that. But for example, we had field day and basic stuff. Exactly. These days, these kids are on the internet. There's just everything's different. Every week there's a special thing. It's
everything is extra.
All my friends who are parents, they're always working, doing stuff.
You can't even have a normal. You can't even have balloons. You need to have a balloon arch,
right? Listen, I mean, our hours are 9 to 6, and there's so much stuff that happens at 5:30, and it's always a challenge because what do you do? I'm a family man myself, so I get it, but then we also have. So yes, I understand.
No, things have changed in the last 20 years. It's not just science projects a couple times a year and a field day. Yeah, which my parents didn't have time for any of those either. I went to the grandparents for that.
Oh come on, John was at a few things.
No, he's at work.
Well, listen, it's awesome what you're doing and very exciting. I'm going to shift gears a little bit to some Sarasota stuff, but before I do you want to shout out your team and maybe some of the people that are making this thing go around?
I would love to do that. So Jenny Infante is my co-founder. We've been doing this. We've been volunteering together for 10 years. So we started this. And Shira Friedman is our board member. Hillary Eunice is our board member. And, oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank.
It's okay.
I'm so sorry. We actually have our 2 kids on the board. They're non-voting members, but Ariana Ackerman and Alex Infante.
That's awesome.
And then...
You said you had 4, so there it is.
Did I have... Okay, hold on. I just don't want to make... I want to make sure I'm not missing anyone.
They'll understand.
Yeah.
You know who you are.
Hey, we appreciate you.
the nerves on this podcast, you know? That's
Yeah.
why you're here and they're not, you know? It's a very nerve-wracking experience.
I think I've got it.
Kidding.
But we also have amazing captains, and honestly, the captains run each school, so they're, please check everybody out on our website.
Of course. There you go. They're all there. I
Yeah.
checked it out earlier.
Oh, did you?
I did. Well, I'm going to pass it over to Trey for a little Sarasota question here.
Dominator Law and Trey Martel want to know, do you love or hate roundabouts, and why?
I mean, can I say indifferent?
You have to have an opinion.
Be pretty lame.
104
Come
episodes.
on.
Everybody has had an answer of some sort.
I guess I love them. At first, I
Whoa.
hated them, but now I love them.
What changed your mind?
Just the fact that I don't have to sit in front of a red light.
There you go. See? You
No.
do have an opinion on them.
Yeah.
You just didn't know it.
Any favorite roundabouts?
I mean,
in time?
I think love is a really strong word, but I
is.
don't hate them. So by default, love.
There you go. And I think that that there's a reason for that question, right? It's a proxy for growth, right?
they've learned something over the last 104
Yeah.
episodes.
So the real reason we ask that question is
Yeah.
one, it's fun, but Sarasota's grown. You've been here for 10 years, right?
Yeah.
So Sarasota's grown. It's changed a lot. Roundabouts are everywhere. That's one of the big changes. But how do you feel about the growth and everything since you've been here 10 years? You've seen a lot of it. Do you
Yeah.
love or hate the growth, right? And you can be indifferent on that one, but that's really what we're.
Or if
we're
there are
asking.
interesting ways that your family or your coworkers have been affected by the growth. We're always looking to hear different perspectives.
I don't love the growth, I have to admit. I liked when Sarasota was a sleepy town, and my husband was born and raised here, so he's even seen it come even that much further. But I think something about COVID really shifted Sarasota, and I kind of wish we could go back to those days.
You're
but,
one of those ladder pullers, huh? you get here and pull up the ladder, and we're full.
But I feel bad saying that because I'm a transplant myself, so it's like,
Yeah, you should. That's horrible.
That's usually who's most vocal about it, people who aren't
Very
from
much
here.
so.
I mean, ordinarily I would never express this, but since you're asking.
Well, hey, some of those people that are coming here now may be future donors. So
Exactly.
shout out to those people. We
Exactly.
welcome them all. As long as you're donating to charities, not just this one, but this one.
Just
and
be
other
nice.
ones.
If you're a
Be
transplant,
nice,
be
buy
nice.
a roof, whatever.
What do you think's changed the most in the last 10 years, or post-COVID rather? Just the number of people, or it's got to be something deeper than that?
I think what I've noticed prior to COVID was a lot of our movers were from the Midwest, and they're just really nice people. And like
Now they're from New York and
So you're saying
California.
the problem is there's more people like me here.
now there's people from everywhere, just a big melting pot, which is wonderful because we need that. But also it's just a lot of blending happening in a short amount of
The
time.
mean people can stay where they're at, though, for sure. We should vet them for sure before they come here. But I personally
I think we're
love the
still
growth.
pretty lucky, relatively speaking, but
Well,
Very much so.
the roundabout works well for this too, because the one thing you notice is all the bad drivers with the out-of-state plates.
yeah.
And they can come into those roundabouts, and sometimes it gets a little squirrely.
And you know what? Maybe I didn't even think this all the way through. Maybe the mean people in the roads aren't even people who live here. Maybe they're just tourists,
That
Could
is
be.
very
So-
likely. It's very possible. Well, listen, we're gonna
never
wrap
know.
up with our man Felipe kind of landing the plane here for us with the most important question, really.
Oh, you've been on Sarasota SpeaX. You see what we do here.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming, by the way. Who do you know who we may not know, who Sarasota needs to know? Who can we invite on Sarasota SpeaX next?
Well, do I choose one or two?
If you have more than one,
three.
we're always happy to receive it.
I think just because I mentioned Amy Esper's company, I think you kind of need to know about her organization company. It's a useful service.
It's unique too. Like we have a strict no realtor policy because we could it's good to get that out there, right? Strict no realtor policy. Many
Good thing
have
I
reached out.
didn't suggest my husband then.
Okay, well, we like him. We like realtors.
It's not that
trust
we have
me.
anything against realtors, but we know what that turns into around here.
Yeah, it's
Well,
just we could
and there's
become
also
a
like
realtor podcast.
7,000 of them.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
I think it's 8. Did it decrease?
I think it's probably 9 since yesterday, but the point is that is a very unique business.
It's a
so I
unique
love it.
business and it's useful. So I like things that are useful. And then the second one is probably I've got to give my company, a little shout out. So probably the CEO of Empath, Jonathan Fleece.
Okay.
I think it's a great company. It's healthcare. I think you guys would bond. And
Yeah, for sure.
so
Well, we'll get them on.
What
You
type of
talk to
healthcare?
them.
What do they do? I'm just curious. now.
Pharmacy, right?
no, so I'm a pharmacist, but
Oh, that's right.
Empath is a full life care nonprofit healthcare company. It's one of the largest in Florida. They have Tidewell Hospice. They have Empath Home Health, physical therapy services.
Oh, okay. I think I know. They're the roll up that took Tidewell. And they came in.
Well, so we were not took, but
Sorry, I'm using
dominated him.
I'm using the finance vernacular rather than the friendly way you guys probably describe it to you.
Yeah, so we have all these service lines, medical services, personal care, just helping seniors age and where they're comfortable. So a lot of great different division lines and super multifaceted company. I think
Love
you'd
it.
enjoy that.
I'm not going to let you get away with that, by the way. Took is definitely not the finance term.
Well, you know what I mean.
right?
Like the way
And I don't know if HR would
making
even
sure we
approve
point that
me
out.
even commenting on it. So I'm
It's
staying out of that one.
You're neutral. You're Switzerland. doesn't matter.
Switzerland.
It's all good.
We didn't
Well,
even ask you what you do outside of the nonprofit, so you want to shout that out? Yeah, I know she said that, but we didn't ask.
So actually, I do business development for
Okay.
Empath Personal Care. So I've been doing that for almost 4 years. I'm a full-time mom to 2 amazing little girls, 10 and 13, and a little fur baby. So I stay busy.
And you do all this, so
And I do
That's
this.
quite impressive.
And this is like a full-time job in itself. So
Well, ask our previous guests. There's no better way to develop business than come on the Sarasota SpeaX podcast. So we'll see the CEO on here pretty soon.
okay, great.
All right.
Look forward
Thank
to it.
you so much.
Well, yeah,
Thanks
great
for having me.
conversation.
Thank you so
so
much.
much. We're
Thank
we
you
look
so
forward
much
to
for
getting this
having
out there.
me. Bye.
Thank you.